All I'm saying is there's 2 times you put the young man in the Wildcat and did not put him under center. And we're talking about uplifting the quarterback. Everybody's going to still look at a guy like Shedeur Sanders. They want him to win. I don't know if everybody in that building wants him to win.
Right. Most QBs lose the game. And I thought Shedeur knew the assignment and he passed the test. He took care of the football for the most part, obviously the 1 interception. But other than that, he played really smart.
The Cleveland Browns are engulfed in a quarterback controversy, and it's tearing through the NFL like an absolute wildfire. And just when you thought the flames couldn't get any higher, Hall of Fame legend Randy Moss poured a whole can of gasoline right on top of it. Let's be perfectly clear. We're not talking about some minor disagreement over play calling here. We are talking about one of the greatest receivers to ever play the game, a certified legend, calling out an entire organization for what he sees as potentially sabotaging their rookie quarterback's very first NFL start. It's a bombshell accusation, and it's time to cut through all the noise, all the hot takes, and get right to the heart of what is really going on in Cleveland.
Can they continue to uplift this quarterback? Because the one thing about it, everybody's going to still look at a guy like Shedeur Sanders. They want him to win.
Shedeur Sanders made his second NFL start today, this time against a defensive powerhouse, and you better believe the entire football world is watching his every move with microscopic intensity. But here's the burning question that nobody in the organization wants to answer directly. Did the Browns coaching staff actively and purposefully rob him of touchdown opportunities in his debut? Randy Moss certainly thinks so, and when a football mind of his caliber speaks up, you have no choice but to listen. Let's rewind to last week in Las Vegas. Sanders drops back and launches an absolute bomb down the field, the kind of beautiful high-arcing throw that makes defensive coordinators lose sleep at night. He puts the ball right on the money, getting his team down to the 2-yard line, putting them in the perfect position to punch it in for a score. And what did the Browns do? They pulled him out of the game. They sent in the Wildcat formation not once but twice. They flat out denied their rookie quarterback the chance to finish the incredible drive he started. Just think about the message that sends for a second. This is your first-round draft pick, the guy you are supposedly evaluating to be the future of your franchise. He makes a spectacular game-changing play, and your response is to yank him off the field when the stakes are highest. You can try to call it game management, but that's questionable decision-making at best, and it looks a whole lot like sabotage at worst. The Browns are sitting on 2 valuable first-round picks in the 2026 draft, and they desperately need answers at the quarterback position. Dillon Gabriel got his 6-game audition before a concussion sidelined him. Now it's Shedeur's turn. But how can you possibly evaluate a quarterback's potential when you refuse to let him play quarterback in the most critical moments of the game? Randy Moss didn't mince words. He saw exactly what everyone else saw, a massive disconnect between what the organization claims it wants and what its actions on the field actually show. When veteran analysts start seriously questioning whether everyone in the building truly wants the kid to succeed, you're looking at a 5-alarm fire, a massive red flag. This isn't just football analysis anymore. This is a deep dive into organizational psychology, and that old numbers game argument, it just doesn't hold water in this situation. Sure, the Wildcat gives you an extra blocker, and yes, it ultimately worked and they scored. But at what cost? You've just told your rookie quarterback in his very first career start that you fundamentally do not trust him in the biggest moment. That's a message that will reverberate through that locker room and this franchise far beyond a single play call.
And it scores. They obviously managed his first career start, which they should have. Yeah.
And when asked about it, what do you get? You get the standard, predictable coach speak. You hear things like, "I thought it was great for us. I couldn't wait to get a film." On the surface, a statement like that sounds perfectly fine. It's positive, it's about looking forward, it's about the team. But let me ask you this. When you place that quote against the backdrop of what we all witnessed on the field, the explosive play followed by the baffling decision to bench the player who hoed it, does that explanation really feel satisfying? It feels like a way to sidestep the real issue, which is the message you sent to your young quarterback and the entire team.
I threw 4 interceptions my first, most QBs lose the game. And I thought Shedeur knew the assignment and he passed the test.
If you want to understand what this team has been so desperately missing, just look at Myles Garrett's reaction on the sideline after that deep ball. That tells you everything you need to know. Here you have a defensive superstar, An absolute titan of the game who has been carrying this franchise on his back for years, and he finally saw something on the offensive side of the ball worth getting genuinely excited about. That energy was palpable. That excitement was 100% real. And then almost immediately, the coaching staff threw a wet blanket on the entire moment by going away from the very thing that was working. And that brings us to the elephant in the room, doesn't it? Shedeur Sanders is polarizing. He is not your typical cookie cutter, say all the right things NFL rookie. He's got swagger. He carries himself with a level of confidence that some people frankly interpret as arrogance. He showed up to press conferences with the flashy wristwatch. He's not shy about talking about his desire to be legendary. He's different. And in a league that often values conformity, being different makes a lot of people deeply uncomfortable.
His name. 2 of what he did and what he's accomplished in college, okay? Then you come in here with the swag, throwing the wrist up with the watch, talking about legendary. That's all cool. We ride with that. Now you have to go out here and perform.
Sure.
But here's the reality check for everyone who needs to hear it. Different doesn't mean wrong. In fact, we've seen this story play out countless times before. Young quarterbacks who don't fit the traditional mold are consistently held to impossible standards. They get questioned and criticized for showing personality, while other guys get praised for having that dog in them. The double standard is absolutely glaring. The controversy over his post-game interview is just another perfect example of this selective criticism. People immediately jumped on Shedeur for not praising his defense right out of the gate, completely ignoring that he later talked about wanting to be better for his team. Meanwhile, veteran quarterbacks use I and me all the time in their interviews, and nobody bats an eye. The level of scrutiny is completely disproportionate, and it's not that hard to figure out why. Now, you had analysts like Rex Ryan trying to defend the coaching staff's approach, calling it smart management for a rookie's first start. And look, there's some validity to that argument. The offensive line has been struggling, and they clearly didn't want a beast like Max Crosby living in their backfield. But there is a massive difference between protecting your quarterback and completely suffocating him. The game plan was conservative by design, full of plays behind the line of scrimmage and short passes, nothing to put too much pressure on the kid. That's fine for the first quarter, maybe even the first half. But when you have momentum, when your guy just made a play that has your defensive leader jumping for joy on the sideline, that is the exact moment you have to trust him to finish the job. Shedeur passed the most important test in his debut. He took care of the football. Yes, there was one interception, but otherwise he was clean. He showed a level of touch on the deep ball that you simply cannot teach. He demonstrated the kind of arm talent that most quarterbacks in this league would kill for. He proved he belonged. And yet the conversation is still swirling around whether he's ready, whether he's too confident, or whether he fits the Browns' culture. Let this sink in. The Browns were 2-9 heading into this game. This is not a team competing for a playoff spot. This is a team in full-on evaluation mode, trying desperately to figure out what pieces they have for the future. Every single snap Shedeur Sanders takes should be treated as valuable data collection. Instead, they're handling him like a fragile asset that needs to be bubble-wrapped. The comparison to other young quarterbacks this season is striking. We've seen Jackson Dart get opportunities. We've seen Bo Nix grow week by week. We've seen what happens when organizations actually commit to developing their rookie signal callers. The Browns are saying all the right things about giving Shedeur an extended look, but their actions on the field are telling a completely different story. This isn't just about one game or one series of play calls. This is about establishing trust. It's about creating an environment where a young quarterback can actually thrive. So when Randy Moss questions whether everyone in that building truly wants Shedeur to win, he's not being dramatic. He's identifying a very real organizational problem that could derail this kid's career before it even gets off the ground. The formula for Cleveland should be simple. Lean on that dominant defense, don't turn the ball over, and let your talented quarterback make a few plays when they're there. He proved he can do it. He showed that touch, that arm talent. He proved he belongs, and still the narrative remains focused on his personality. Now he's facing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who have a top 10 defensive line. Their experienced linebacker core is one of the best in the league. just waiting to chase Shedeur down for his first sack. You don't want number 22 coming free early and often. Shedeur's deep ball dime in his debut should have shaken all that up, proving he's a player who can make big-time plays. His teammates have seen the energy he brings, but these same questions about fit and process are shadowing his every move. And here's what makes this whole situation so incredibly frustrating. Shedeur Sanders has the physical tools to be truly special. The arm talent is the touch on deep balls is already NFL caliber. The toughness is there. He took big hits and kept playing. But absolutely none of that matters if the organization doesn't fully commit to his development. The Browns have been searching for a franchise quarterback for decades, literally decades of misses, busts, and false hope. Now they finally have a kid with legitimate high-end potential, and they're managing his first start like it's a playoff game, instead of a developmental opportunity in what is already a lost season. Randy Moss saw right through all of it. He called it out on national television, and now the entire football world is watching to see how the Cleveland Browns respond. Will they prove him wrong by finally unleashing their young quarterback? Or will they validate his concerns by continuing to limit their most talented young player? The answer to that question will define not just this season, but potentially the next decade of Browns football. Choose wisely, Cleveland. The clock is ticking and your future is on the field right now.